Hey, it's Brian Terrian here from the Disability Digest, and welcome to our weekly, most weekly, I will say, live event. Um, so, what I have on tap here today is kind of a follow up to last week, which is I'm going to talk about what you uh, need to prove to get or keep your Social Security disability benefits. Last week, we talked about how to explain um, that you qualify for disability in like two sentences or less. So it was great participation. Going to do the same thing this week. So I see, let's see, Kathleen, hello, California, Nikki, Lana, great. Welcome, welcome. For those of you that are out there and are new, we do these events, like I mentioned, weekly here at the Disability Digest, and to give you, some general interest type concepts to help you get, keep, and maximize your disability benefits. Um, and in addition to this, on our YouTube channel, you'll find two to three other videos a week. We're doing a lot of videos now about uh, addressing the response of like, what can I do to supplement my income and keep my benefits so I can kind of take the sting off of this inflation that's going on out there. So just have a look at some of those recent ones. We have some other actually real live success stories that we will be releasing soon. So we've been doing this kind of work since 2006, and right now we're serving. It's my pleasure to serve, I should say. 178,000 people are here as members at the Disability Digest, and let's say 23,000 here on the YouTube channel. So if you like the work that we do, which we hope you do, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and ring the bell so you get those, notifications for upcoming information. And if you know people that are trying to get their benefits, or maybe they're already on benefits and want to maximize them, share the work. Just hit the share button and send it on out there. Um, so also this week's event is I wouldn't is kind of been initiated by a member, Vanessa, who is in a state that is not real densely populated. There's not a lot of treatment options, so we're going to talk about that, and we're also going to take time to address any of your individual questions as much as time permits today. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Before I get into the main topic, I wanted to get a vibe for where folks are at in the process. Um, I see Ron's been here before, but for those of you that are new, what I would like you to do is just put in the text chat a number that indicates where you're at in the process. So one would be you have not applied for your disability benefits. You could still be working or thinking about it or who knows what. Two is you have applied and you are waiting and waiting and waiting, if you're like most that are out there. Three is you've applied and you've been denied. Four is you've applied and you have been approved. So please put a one, two, three, or four in the text chat for me today. Okay, we got some kind of a mix here today. Good. Awesome. 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 Okay. All right. That's great. Thanks, everybody. That's very helpful. Okay, so what you need to prove to get your benefits and keep your benefits, and this is a general interest item. And why I say that's general interest is if you're already approved for disability benefits, I actually think this in some ways is just as important for you right now as it is for somebody that's trying to get approved. And the reason for that is, in case you don't know, they have these things called continuing disability reviews. I just reviewed some numbers the other day, and it's estimated that 49,600 people will have their benefits terminated um, in year to date, like you run it forward a year from now in that period of time. So my effort is to give you what you need to know so that you can get your benefits approved, and if you're already approved, so that you can stay in pay status. Because I was estimated 50,000 people, I would expect a lot of those could be avoided if they follow the right steps. Okay, let's get going. So I'm going to cover what you do for treatment if you're in kind of a remote area, right? I'm going to talk about conditions that need to be diagnosed, new conditions that need to be added. What if you can't afford to go to treatment? What if your like doctor gives you like a pile of medications and you don't want to take them? How do you handle those? Are some of the things I'm going to talk about. But in advance of that, this is the general premise for a disability approval. Probably the most important thing you need to understand and execute on is there's three things. One is you have conditions, right? You have conditions that are diagnosed and they're being treated by a doctor. Okay. So you have conditions, they're being treated by a doctor. That's the second one. Should be second one. And then the third piece is you have those conditions, although they're being treated, they have limitations. You have limitations from those conditions that prevent you from being able to do any job if you're under 50, and possibly the type of work that you've done if you're over 50. Now, last week we talked about how you explain in two sentences or less that you're disabled. And that's critically important. If you missed that one, I'd go back and look on the station. If you can't find it, just put in the YouTube comments and somebody will get it back to you. Because if you can have all those three in place, but if you don't know how to clearly communicate all the way through, like what you need to say and do, then you're going to have a problem. Um, all right. So, first of all, some tips on those three areas is you want to take a look at all the conditions that you have and make sure that they are all diagnosed. And reason for that is common one is mental health. Take somebody that's got chronic pain, for example. They'll have chronic pain maybe from a back issue or from an autoimmune condition like fibromyalgia. Um, and you're out of work, you don't feel well, you're in a lot of pain. It's kind of depressing, right? So, but people don't pursue it and they don't get treatment for it, but it's a factor. It's a limiting factor that's preventing them from working. So, if you don't have that diagnosed and you don't have that treated, it can't be considered as evidence in your case. So make sure that all of your conditions are treated. We're going to talk about the medications and the treatment and all that here in a moment, but that's step number one. Um, and if you have new conditions along the way, especially for you folks that are number fours out there, listen up on this one. If you come up with a new condition, then you want to make sure that you add that condition has been, of course, diagnosed and treated and is in your medical records so that that can be evaluated when you get your continuing disability review. Right. So make sure you add your new conditions. Um, Next thing is, and I'm gonna do a more in-depth segment on this, but when you have your doctor's visit, that it used to be 12 minutes, but I think it's like an 8-minute average doctor visit now. And thanks, folks, for putting your questions in. I'm going to take some time and get to those right after I'm done this segment here. Um, when you're going to your doctors is one thing, but your role in the process in doctoring, and I've learned this from experts like attorney Carl Osterhout, is to communicate your limitations in each and every doctor's visit. If you're just going to your doctor's visit and they're checking in on you and they're not getting an understanding or any communication from you about what you cannot do despite the treatment, your medical records are going to be very difficult to understand for Social Security. So think about it this way. if you're communicating in every doctor's visit that you can only sit for 15 minutes, you can only stand for 10 minutes, you're fatigued a lot and it requires that you take a 45-minute nap in the afternoon, an hour nap in the morning, vice versa, whatever it is, then you start to build the record that you you cannot work. I mean, who can have you working for him if you need two naps a day, right? So remember that piece. So you want to communicate your limitations. Okay. Next to last one is, what do you do if you can't afford treatment? Or what do you do if there's very limited treatment options in your area? What do you do if your condition doesn't require a significant amount of treatment? It's a permanent, and like if you're visually impaired, your vision, it's gone. There's no cure, there's no treatment for it. So, first of all, for the limited treatment piece, you do the best you can in the environment that you have. You look at the doctors that are around in your area and what you have access to. And that's what Social Security expects you to seek treatment for. In just about every community throughout the US, there is some type of county treatment option, uh, Catholic charities, subsidized treatment options. There are those things that are available that we here provide access to if you don't know where they are. So it's not common that there is not a treatment option. It might not be the ideal treatment option that you would like or you can afford, but you are expected to pursue treatment, right? Now, if you can't afford treatment, that's a tough one because you have to fill that requirement of have conditions, have them being treated. So this goes back to, if anybody's listening and they're working full time out there, still working over 30 hours a week to get their disability income insurance, your short-term disability insurance, your long-term disability insurance in place so that you have money when you're out of work to get this treatment piece done, because it's critical to doing that. Okay, medications. Last one. This is a common situation. People go to doctors and they're pill pushers. I won't say all of them are, but a lot of them are. And you may not want to take those medications because they don't make you feel well, or they're going to have some adverse effect on you, like not good for your liver, right? So what do you do? Well, the best thing you can do is to communicate to your doctor in writing, ideally, that I don't want to take these pills, this medication, because it makes me drowsy, gives me an upset stomach, makes me nauseated, I can't function, it just puts me right back to sleep. Whatever it is that you can justify, you need to justify it though. It needs to be legitimate that you cannot take it. Why do you want to make sure, writing is ideal? Because if you give it to them in writing and ask them to put it in the medical records, you've got a piece of paper and it's not, they're less likely to forget it. For all of these things that I've gone through with you, you want to make sure you're checking in on your medical records, reviewing your medical records, going through them, say, okay, I communicated this. I told him last visit, I can't stand for more than 15 minutes. I can't climb 10 stairs. I can't lift a gallon of milk. Is that in your medical records? Because if it's not, you need to go back to them. And if you're at a point where you're reaching a challenge with your doctors and they're not putting that in your medical records, you have to really consider making a move, because if they're not putting in the medical records what you're communicating, they're not doing their job. Okay, so those are my tips. So last week we talked about what to say, how to communicate. This is what you need to prove and some tips to help you prove it, to help you get your benefits and keep your benefits. Okay, now we have a lot of questions in here, so I'm going to go back up to the top. Um, and folks, if I miss your question, it's likely not intentional. Sometimes when I read one, another one comes in and it bumps the queue up. So, uh, okay, does Social Security ping our phone to see where we go? Not that I know of. I do know this, though. Social media has become an issue. And you have to be careful about what you do on your social media. Like if you are applying for disability and you've got a bad back, and they see you jet skiing down in Florida, um, probably not going to be good if you're putting that on your Facebook page. Last fan, okay. Okay, Christy, hi all, calling from Las Vegas. Great, blind resource. Okay, well, this is a no charge resource, and so is our membership is no charge. So I'll go through that at the end, and how a membership can provide you like a customized approach. Um, but thanks for joining. We have processed 59% of your application. Great. Well, hopefully the rest of it is going to be favorable. For those of you that are in the application process, um, I'm gonna. My point is that I'm trying to get out is that your Social Security online account is a fantastic resource to monitor your case activity. And the reason is because it's updated like real time. It's one of the things they do well. Um, and you get information in there before they put it in the mail to you or your disability representative, attorney or non-attorney if you're using one. So make sure you stay in like Ron Campbell's here at 90%, right? Hopefully they can get that other 10% sorted out. You can get you approved. Um, Waiting on a hearing. Okay. Um, all right. So waiting, wondering what else I can be doing. I don't know what you've done, so that's the challenge. But um, if you're using our disability approval course, unless you're approved, there's always, in my opinion, I would look at evidence that you can add, um, which is from the basics. Doctor's support in writing. This is section 2 in our disability approval course. And so if you don't have those done, I'd be working on those. Or if a doctor said no, go back to them again. Um, and any other evidence. You can get evidence from prior employees, employers, or people that you worked with that saw what happened to you as things deteriorated and you weren't able to work. You can even video your limitations and have those added into your case file. This is great now, especially at the early stages, because they're just looking at basically paper evidence. Not probably not even paper anymore, digital evidence. Um, and at a hearing, the hearings now are done over the phone. Most of them still, and will continue to be. So what that means is they can see that you're not able to walk, or you're walking with a cane, or what it's like for you to bend, stoop, anything like that. That would be helpful. Um, wow, here's one from Christy. It took you 17 years to prove that you for blindness. Yikes. All right, here's one from Chris. Have a CDR notification. Just a letter. They asked me to call them and answer questions. Interesting. No short or long form. All right. Um, my best advice on that is just brush up on what to say. Like last week's event would be super helpful in communicating why you can't work if you're asked without a question and you're expected to communicate it to them. Um, Folks, I can't emphasize enough the importance of really understanding how to communicate that you're disabled. And last week, and you'll learn this when you watch the replay. When I asked, and this is no offense to people, I asked people to explain in 2 sentences or less why they qualify, right? Why they think they should be approved or are approved. Nobody got it right. Nobody, right? So it's really important. Okay. Um, Denied due to lack of medical evidence, but without income insurance, I can't afford. Okay. There's, again, you know, certainly being able to pay and get top notch treatment is helpful, but you have to do the best you can. If you cannot work, um, don't just give up. Follow the resources we have, Centers for Independent Living, a county, dial 211, all these things that we have access to. And in the show notes after this and last week, there's some resources that will really help you with that, that will help you to survive, Vanessa. So um, that's uh, that's my message. Just stay in the game, man. Okay, Richard. So Richard says you advise us to write a note to every doctor's visit to explain to them. This I didn't. This actually isn't from me. This is from um, an expert that I interviewed that's been doing disability work for, I don't know, 25 years. But his advice is, you journal, and you want to keep track of your limitations, legit, like what you cannot do. Cannot sit, cannot stand, cannot bend, cannot stoop, lift a gallon of milk, all that stuff. And then you want to write, have like a progress report, and just bring in a simple piece of paper to each and every doctor's visit that lists your limitations. Just list them. Can I cannot sit for more than 15 minutes. I cannot stand. Not a paragraph, just simple bullets, explanation. Say, doc, these are my limitations from last visit to now. I want to make sure you understand these, and I want to make sure that these are in my medical records. Despite the treatment, um, this is what I cannot do right now. This is where I'm at. So yes, every visit. It's disability income insurance is what I call it, folks. I applied for disability benefits, have been denied, appealed. The caseworker still hasn't contacted my local physicians, both of which will support my claim. Okay, I drive the process on this one. Um, and our disability approval course in section 2, there is, again, I keep going back to this. You can get the doctor's support forms for physical and mental, and you print those off, you bring them to your doctors, you ask them to sign them. If you're waiting, and this is from Lake Erie West, if you're waiting for your doctors to respond to Social Security, i I would not rely on that to sync up. Doctors want to minimize their work, you know it's just so. But if you bring them the form, say, listen, I'm applying for Social Security disability. It's the only income that I have a chance to get to survive, have a roof over my head, and food. It takes 7 to 9 minutes to fill this form out, and I'd like you to fill it out for me right now while I'm here with you. Right now. Don't let them say I'll get it done, and in your visit, have them fill it out. So that's my recommendation for that. Richard, you have a comment here to explain how it affects your situations. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Um, okay. Not all doctors are going to fill out these forms, the forms. That's why Plan B is to communicate your limitations. So if they're not filling out their doctor support forms, then when Social Security looks in your medical records and they see that, okay, well, every visit we've got these limitations: can't sit, can't stand, can't bend, can't stoop. That's that that'll definitely help. Okay, if you're not working because you're disabled and you're not yet approved, there's help through the state insurance, Medicaid, correct, but not everybody qualifies for that. But that's a great point. And Medicaid is a fantastic program, and many, once they're approved, especially if their check is below 1,500 and their spouse, or they don't have a spouse, or their spouse isn't working, then they would still qualify. Does Social Security look at how often your prescriptions are filled? Um, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know how they would do that, because when I'm thinking through like a disability application, they know that you are prescribed medication because you're expected to list it. And they know which doctor prescribes the medication, but they don't know which pharmacy. So you could go to the pharmacy, you could get your medication, and you could flush it. Um, but if you have to understand that credibility is a big thing, and if you got busted on this, it's definitely going to be a problem, for your credibility in getting approved, because it's just one thing, and they're thinking, well, if you're not truthful on this, you're going to be truthful on others. So, good question. Okay, doctors are awful. Medical records, they don't do a physical exam, leave the template in the notes. Yeah, yeah, can't disagree with you. Um, all right, I'm just looking at some of these are comments rather than questions. I have an attorney. Can I still join the membership? Absolutely. For those of you that are using an attorney, or you don't want to use an attorney, I'm not an attorney. We help people get approved. We teach them how to do it on their own. Or you can, if you don't want to do it on your own, we can help you find representation. But here's the deal: if you've chosen to use representation and you're just coming here, or you want to use somebody else, then the disability approval course that we have is going to be a game changer for you, because it is likely that you do not know what your attorney should be doing or is doing at each step of the way. And the disability approval course shows you step by step what needs to be done before you apply, what needs to be done when you apply, like how to fill out the forms, how to get medical evidence, what to do at exams. So it can help you hold your attorney accountable and say, listen, man, we should be doing this. You should be doing this. How come you haven't done this? Right? Otherwise, you hired somebody and you have no idea. So that's how we can help you for sure. And then once you're approved, we do a lot of work to help people keep their benefits, maximize their benefits. So, yeah, we're not a one size fits all. Okay. What can I do to get on disability, or at least get some sort of service dog, because I have scoliosis and the possibilities? I'd say if you're not a member, join us, contact us. We don't do much with service dogs, but we certainly help people get approved. I did learn this about service dogs, though, um, and this is actually coming out in our "How to Supplement Your Disability Benefits and Keep Your Income." If you have a service dog and you're working, like you're doing something, to supplement your disability, your service dog is a key component to that for whatever reason, then your service dog and the related expenses become a tax deduction. Huh? How about that one? I thought that was very fair. Um, okay. I have a condition that has no cure, causes chronic pain. There's really no any treatment, and I don't want to do medications. All right, we've covered these. You have to follow what the doctor suggests. If he says no treatment, that needs to be in the medical record for your primary care. And then we address the medication part. Great questions today. Why do they turn down survivors benefits even when you're already on SSDI? Boy, that's an interesting one. I wonder if it's because the check amount is different, or like you have a choice between the higher check amount. I don't know. There's a lot more information I would need to know before I could comment on that, but that's the only thing I can think of. Um, okay, Ron says, have asked about SSI, still waiting at 90%. How long before I can get something? I mean, I wish I knew the answer to that. There isn't any predictability. I'll explain it this way. There's kind of a two-part question. SSI, you do need to apply for. That's asset based if you qualify. That's not something that, I mean, there's so many things, from you could have a box of coins that's going to impact your ability to get SSI. But on the so that's off on the state. Go through that application process. But it is great if you can get it. Oftentimes you can get some cash flow before you get your disability benefits. With Social Security now, they have the highest amount of cases and backlog that they have in their history, 1.1 million. It's disgusting. Not only that, their labor force has been reduced. They had people that were remoted through COVID. They couldn't get all of them back. They're hiring new people, and they're having challenge in getting them trained and up. So we have a lot of activity with reduced work staff. That's why what should be a 5 month decision for initial application, we're seeing those at 12 to 14 months. If you get denied there, then it goes to reconsideration. 11.7% of the cases get approved there nationally. That could be another 8 to 10 or 12 months. If it has to go to a hearing, there is a bit of good news. There's not a backlog there. The judges are working at home, and they're able to get through their more cases because they're working at home. They have to go to the courthouse, all that stuff. Um, so that part's good. But in the earlier stages, you just gotta you gotta. It's not a quick fix, right? And even the uh, even putting in for like a special request for people that are homeless with kids. I mean, that's been minimally effective. Um, so just we have to wait, do the best we can, get the evidence in there, stay on the case manager, ask them for a decision. um, I wish there was better news, folks, but I just we have to play. Social Security, it's just a mammoth organization, as you know, and we just have to work within the system. Okay, I have a disability. Am I allowed to sell my own belongings on eBay without being booted off? You mean booted off eBay, or I expect you mean booted off your disability income. Um, so yeah, here's the deal. The short story, and you might be new here because this is commonly covered, but you can, and this will be in the show notes afterwards. For this year right now, 2022, you can earn up to $970 a month, um, and keep your benefits. You can do that each and every month. If you're self-employed, that 970 is your net after your expenses. Um, but if you're an employee, it's that or 20 hours. So eBay's totally fine. It's great. Um, if you could do that. Um, okay. Can you still apply for disability benefits while working full time in PA? Well, working full time is the disqualifying criteria. So the general guidelines, not general, they are the guidelines for Social Security, are you can apply for your disability benefits if you're working 20 hours or less, right? And also your income needs to be less than $1,350 a month. Now, listen, folks, um, if you're working and trying to get approved, even if you're in like the $300 to $500 range of income, it still makes it really hard to get approved. I'm just saying because it opens the argument for Social Security that, well, you're doing a little work. If you had better treatment, reasonable accommodations, different job, you could work. So if you want to get approved fast, I just encourage you to find a way, get your disability income insurance. This is Cheryl Ann. So that when you stop working, you can get 60% of your income to get you through until you get your disability approved. Okay. All right. Take a few more in the time that we have here. Rear-ended 6 years ago, neck pain, nerve damage, developing arthritis. No clear diagnosis, just have to live with it. I don't know. That's got to be if you get rear-ended and got something going on with your neck. I, uh, I would suggest if this is impacting your work that you be persistent. I don't know about others out there, but has anybody chased a diagnosis for years, like an autoimmune condition or anything, structural? If you have, just give a shout out in the comments. Oftentimes, doctors they just don't get it in the first go around. All right, let's see what else we have here. Go online, search for them. Okay, all right, got it. And just looking at the rest of these, okay. If we've been approved and there is medical improvement, but not enough to work full time, what do we say in the CDR? The best thing you can say in the CDR is be truthful. And there's going to be um, some other issues that will impact that. So if you were approved and you were, say, 49, and then your CDR is 3 years later and you're 52, what the qualifying criteria at that time is different. Same if you get over 55, it's different. So you have to take that into consideration. And even though there's been medical improvement, the real situation or the real issue is the 3 points that I covered. Do you have conditions? Are they being treated? And do they put limitations on your body so that you cannot work? And if you still meet that criteria, then you shouldn't have a problem. Okay. That's a good question. Um, all right. There's a lot more questions. I've got another 6 minutes that I'll hang out here because I got another engagement coming up. Um, Went through my first CDR, added more medical evidence for something new. Good. And found still disabled. Okay, that's great. Thanks for sharing that, Richard. Okay. I receive SSDI. I surrendered a part time job due to disabilities. I fell behind on my bills due to income. Now garnishment is in place. Can garnishment be reversed to keep from taking all? I don't know because I don't know exactly why you were garnished. So your Social Security check is being garnished because of from your creditors. That's what I presume. That I, that is not an area of expertise that I have in knowing the nuances of getting um, garnished. But if you have a lot of debt, which unfortunately many people that are members here do because of there's one common denominator that causes a lot of debt and wrecks people financially, and that is healthcare costs. And the healthcare costs are when we look at and I talk to people that have a lot of debt, it's because they did not have short-term or long-term disability insurance. It's I'd say it's 95% of the time that's what it is. Because if you can have that short-term, long-term disability income, you have some cash flow to maintain a level of insurance that'll keep you from getting in those big financial uh, debt situations. So just a shout out. At the 9 month mark since applying, had an exam 1 month ago at the 90% mark. That's not too bad actually. 9 months, so you should get a decision within 60 days. Hope it goes favorable. Let us know. Hard copy of the disability application. I don't know. I mean, everything we've done online since has been online since 2018. I expect you could call them though and ask to have one mailed. I do. Um, so call them meaning Social Security. Yeah. Okay, if your online Social Security statement says you've already earned enough credit for disability and gives you an approximate amount, does that help with a new claim? Yeah. Yeah. If it says that you haven't worked enough, then you don't have a claim until you restore your credits. So definitely, that's good to know. And for anybody who hasn't applied or you're working full time out there, always good to go into your My SSA account, find out what your check amount's going to be. Financial planning. Mm, okay. My last CDR showed not likely to improve, but I still get one every 3 years. Yeah. We had we had somebody in our YouTube comments that had three CDRs like in the 63.45 range. So yeah, keep in mind, folks, they're doing like 20% of disability recipients a year. So and the number and the volume of these are going up from like 1.7 million to 1.8 million annually. So I don't see them. I don't see the trend. They're trending up, not trending down. Um, okay, Vanessa says, is it worth appealing my denied appeal without current medical treatment, or will I have to pursue medical treatment to reapply? My application has been in the process for over a year and a half. It's a good question. So you have to look at it this way. What might happen is this. Uh, if your case works its way through the system, and you go to a hearing. So you're at a number three, and then you're trying to get to a four in my example. Um, and you've been at it for 3 years going through the process. But it really wasn't until the last 12 months or the last year that you had solid treatment. Well, when you get to the judge and he looks at it, and if you have good representation, the judge might say, well, listen, I see that you qualify for disability, but not from when you started your application. I see that you're qualified for disability 12 months ago. I'd agree to this to be your onset date. So the value of doing that, if you have a case, like if you're a younger individual and you're under 50, you're likely going to go to a hearing. Very few cases get approved without going to a hearing. So if you're going to go to a hearing anyway, right, and you're in this situation where you're working on your treatment, you should really consider just staying in the fight. Yep. Because otherwise, you have to start all over again. And you have to start all over again from when you stopped, when that last case was denied. You're starting all over again. So, yeah. I mean, if I was advising you directly on that case and that situation, based on what I know, I'd say stay the course. Okay. This is from Mr. Gary. I have bilateral arthritis. This is a classic one from last week. Communicating conditions doesn't prove that you're disabled. So I would definitely uh, advise you to go back and listen to the live that we did 1 week ago so that you can rephrase that and communicate a statement that will allow people to understand that you're disabled. Because I could have those same conditions and be standing here, right? My CDR has been going on for 12 months, need help. The stress is unbearable. So when you say your CDR has been going on for 12 months, meaning that 12 months ago, did you complete the was it 454 form, short or long? And if that's the case, then on the YouTube channel, we've put out we, we did a comprehensive continuing disability review guide that is available to Disability Digest members. We have members that are clients that are in our benefit protection program. If you don't know about that, you can learn more about that on our channel or as a member. We put you in a program where it doesn't cost you anything, can save you $5,000 in legal fees. When you get your continuing disability review, you have access to our legal team. So the continuing disability review course is really targeted towards those, but we release it to a few other people, and 4 out of the 10 segments you can find the interviews with attorney James Mitchell Brown on our YouTube station. We took 4 and put them out there just to help people. And the course of action that I expect you should take is in one of those segments. Just search the YouTube channel for the letters CDR, and those will come up. Yeah. Yeah, I know it's like nerve wracking to, understand if your benefits are going to continue or not. Okay, how can I email or contact you? I have no idea what I'm doing to even get started. Do you think I should just get a lawyer or make the process easier? No, I don't think you should just get a lawyer. I think you need to understand the process first and what your options are. Um, I'm big on that. So I would join us as a member. I'll go over that in a moment. All the other videos that we have give you some directions. Come on in. We can show you what your options are, and then you can decide how to proceed. For zero, doesn't cost you anything. Oh my gosh, thank you. Okay. Oh, this is nice. This is from Kelly. You're going to make me cry because I've been so tough. Thank you so much. All right. Well, I appreciate that feedback. I don't find this work easy, folks. So I thank you for those comments. It keeps me in the game here. So very, very kind of you. Um, okay. Can you apply for SSI if you have days of complete fatigue due to illness? No way to plan. Well, when you mean SSI, do you mean like Social Security disability? Because SSI, the true SSI is welfare. That's like you get maybe a check of $894 a month and some Medicaid, which is some medical coverage. What Social Security disability is your disability check that's based on your work history. Could be up to, you know, $2,700, and then your children under 18 get a check, and you get Medicare. It's a much better benefit package. So if I, I'm going to take a stab at this one and think that you mean SSDI. You can apply for it. Really, the question is that one should ask themselves is, can I work? I mean, if you can't work, you can't work, right? Most people want to work. This is my take. And if the answer is no, you can't work, then you really need to do something about it for yourself, for your family. And these are benefits that you paid for. So, all right, I'm going to take one, maybe two more here. I'm 2 minutes late, but that's all right. I've been using your videos and they've headed me. Okay, great. Hey, thank you, Lana, for that. Yep. Um, Going to a physical doc every 12 weeks, pain, psych, okay, therapist, cancer. All right. Is that sufficient? Don't know. This is like last week. I'm going to do the same thing. I don't want to do the brush off, but all you're telling me is that you have conditions. I don't know if you can't work, and I don't know what limitations you have. So the message last week is you need to understand how to communicate your limitations, not your conditions. So this is what causes so many people to get denied and causes a lot of problems to keep your benefits. It's just our mentality that we have these conditions, and this is how society has programmed us, right? I've got a headache, or I've got this, I've got that. It's not. You need to understand what you cannot. You need to get beyond that. Okay. Okay. Haven't applied yet. Folks, one thing you want to remember if you haven't applied and you're thinking about it, your disability benefits do expire. Um, After 5 years of being out of work, typically you would not be eligible to get a disability check. So think about it this way. If you know you can't work, it's good to apply for your disability benefits. And even if you can figure it out and go back to work, you still have your case going. But if your first application takes like 2.5 years to get through the cycle and you don't get approved, you've got another shot at it, right? Because if you have to start your application while you're still insured for disability benefits, and if they last 5 years, let's say it takes you three and you get denied, then you start your next one somewhere within that 2 year period, you still have an opportunity to get approved in that one. So waiting until like late in the game, if you wait till you're like 4 years out of work, you only have one shot, only one shot getting approved. Okay. All right. There's a lot of other questions, folks. I'm sorry, but I'm out of time. I'm 4 minutes late. This has been fantastic. I didn't expect to get this amount of questions. So, just to wrap up a few things, I want you, for those of you that are still wondering how to, explain that you're disabled, check out last week's event. A replay of this will be available shortly. There's resources underneath here. There'll be a more detailed video about what you need to prove to get and keep your benefits. It'll be in the show notes. There'll be some additional benefits or videos and resources to help you survive to find treatment. That'll be in there. We do these every Wednesday. If you're new here, I encourage you to subscribe and ring the bell so you get notifications when we do this. And of course, if you think somebody else could benefit from this, give it a share. That would be helpful. So, last, there's been some questions about the membership here and how we work. We provide a membership, it's no charge. Our whole operation is like a radio or a TV station where we have ads and sponsors. And it allows us to do this work and provide a membership at no charge. And the value of the membership is this: these are general interest topics, but there's no two situations alike, regardless whether you're still working, trying to get your disability, you're already approved, you want to maximize it, it doesn't matter. Your age, your conditions, where you live, like, are you married, your check amount, all these are issues. So what we have is an evaluation. It like takes less than 2 minutes. You complete some questions, and it allows us to channel you to the right information and resources that we have, the right live events, the right contact people internally, the right support team, the right support groups, online groups that we have, so that we can help you. Like, if trying to get approved, we can, help you understand what you need to do and how you can do it, and chunk time off that. If you're already approved, then we'll help you with your CDR, help you keep your benefits. And oftentimes, those of you that are approved, you're paying for things that you don't need to. You don't know it, right? Like your phone. Most people paying for their phone. Oftentimes, you don't need to pay for your phone or your Medicare Part B premium. That's $170.10. Many people paying for that. They don't know about it. So these are things that we can help you out with. So below this video, at the very top, will be a link where you can join us as a member, complete your evaluation, and we'll take it from there and be in touch with you. Below that will be other resources. Follow up on this message about what you need to prove, and other resources to help you survive. So, listen, last is, I truly appreciate you folks and taking time to come out here. I am certain there's other things you could be doing with your time that, maybe more entertaining or educational. I don't know. But the fact that you have placed your trust in coming out here and listening and learning today, I appreciate that. So it's my pleasure to do this work for you. So until the next time, it's been Brian Terrian. Make it a great day. Thanks again.